Have you ever thought that something was better simply because it was newer, without doing any comparison or research? Instinctively, I believe something is better when I see that it's newer, because why else would someone be selling that to me, other than to take my money, of course. However, although this is the way I usually think, I'm here today to tell you why older can sometimes be better in the long run. According to data from the Publishing Association, ebook sales in the UK fell 17% in 2016, while sales of physical books rose by 8%. Ebooks are often advertised as being more practical, and it's easy to see why. You're able to carry hundreds of books in a 1-pound device. However, these stats that the sales of ebooks were dropping while the sale of physical books were rising led me to wondering if there was a reason behind this. Have people just struggled to adjust to ebooks since their introduction, or was there more sense behind these statistics? This led to me doing some research of my own. From this research, I discovered that there are many benefits with reading physical books as opposed to digital ones. In these next few minutes, I will tell you why we should all be reading a bit more on paper and a bit less on screen. I will tell you why reading on paper improves concentration and comprehension. I will tell you how it is less physically and mentally straining than reading digitally, and how it can help with the retention of information. With a constant feed of electronic notifications bombarding us from all angles, our attention spans are shorter now than they have ever been. So I think I should address the concentration and comprehension bit first. Reading on paper can improve concentration, and when you think about it, it's easy to see why that is. A book provides fewer distractions on paper than a digital device. When we are reading digitally, we are often reading on a multi-purpose screen, such as a phone or a computer, which often feature advertisements or notifications diverting our attention from the subject matter. As well as when you are reading digitally, you are more susceptible to multitasking. Even on devices such as an e-reader, like a Kindle, at one click of a button can take us to a completely different line of thinking, in the way of a different app, article, or book. When we are concentrated more on the material, we will also understand it better. A Norwegian study in 2013 had a professor ask 72 grade 10 students to read 5 texts about 1,500 words in length each, and then complete reading comprehension questions about it after, while having access to the text. Half read in PDF format on LCD screens, while the other half read on paper. The students reading on paper scored significantly better on the reading comprehension questions, and were able to complete them faster as well. The professor predicts one reason for this is the ones reading on paper were better able to navigate the text and remember physical markers such as flipping a page to find and comprehend information. Now, I think most of us as college students feel as though we could always use a little bit more rest. So anything that requires less exertion would be preferable. Let me now tell you why you can save some mental and physical energy by reading on paper. Reading on screens is more mentally and physically straining than reading on paper. While e-ink on screens can be easy on the eyes, it is often the screen behind it that can be physically straining the reader. Depending on the device the reader is using, there can be varying degrees of flicker, glare, and pixelation distracting them. In addition, readers can also suffer headaches and blurred visions when reading on screens for extended periods of time. This is something the American Optometric Association refers to as computer vision syndrome, and says 70% of people who read on screens for extended periods of time suffer from this. A study done at Karlstad University in Sweden ran a reading comprehension test of 30 minutes in length and had a half read on a digital screen while half read on paper. The volunteers who completed it on screen reported higher levels of stress and exhaustion than those reading on paper. Now, you may still be wondering how reading on paper can help with retention of information. Reading on paper is superior when we are trying to recall something we have read previously. Researchers believe one reason for this could be that flipping the pages of a book is something like providing a trail for our brain, like we are putting one foot in front of the other while reading. This is beneficial when we are trying to recall something we have previously read, as we are better at remembering where we came from when we have physically done it ourselves. Researchers at the National Central University in Taiwan found that students had a harder time reading academic textbooks on screens than those who read it on paper, and found that they were unable to form any kind of cognitive map when reading on screens. This also follows research done at the Bell Telephone Laboratories in New Jersey that found people reading on paper were better able to remember and locate meaningful information in the text. Well, this brings us to the end of this particular book. In conclusion, I've informed you how reading physical text is better for reading concentration and comprehension. I've illustrated how reading digitally is more mentally and physically demanding for the reader. I have explained how physical text provides a better retention of information for the reader. Hopefully you now truly realize that new isn't always better, and there are sometimes benefits to doing things the old ways. So go put the thousands of paper books we have in our college's library to good use, and maybe you can be the one telling the next person why this old way of doing things is sometimes better.